sometimes you can start a sketch just for fun. You've got no plans for it, and you're just sort of scribbling away, enjoying the moment. And as you develop the sketch, the cogs start to turn, and you have ideas of where you could take it. This is one of those sketches. I did it in Tayasui, and as I progressed through it, I started to get ideas of where I could take it. So I'll discuss that in the video. So let's get into it. So here we are in Tayasui sketches. This is going to be one of those sketches that I do just for the fun of it. There's no other reason than I fancied having a go at drawing this. And basically, I'm drawing a tractor. I've never drawn a tractor before, so it's going to be a little bit taxing. It's going to stretch me a bit, but it's, you know, a good thing to practice perspective and just have a bit of fun with the pencil. I was away at the weekend, or actually, when I say I was away, I was helping my daughter and her partner move house. They've just moved into a new village, and we went for a cup of tea and a piece of cake or something, and we ended up at this farm shop stroke cafe restaurant where they got all of the front of the farm open to the public, and they got this old tractor in there. It was really, really nice. And I sat there and I thought, oh, quick, let's get a few pictures here, because I'm going to have a go at drawing that tractor. That looks so cool. So I've got in my mind, when I started this sketch, that I would do a really rough pencil sketch, not too worried about clean lines or anything like that. Just sort of the important things here are proportion, getting things in the right place, looking closely at the shapes of things. And then I wanted to put a colour wash on it, and I wanted to use sort of grungy, earthy colours, really, just to add that little bit of colour to the drawing, but not sort of to overpower it too much or be really in your face, just some nice subtle colours. So as you can see, the drawing's going okay. I've got lots of lines that aren't very clean, but that's the style that I'm going for with this particular drawing. I did think I might use it as a basis to do another drawing. I'm thinking of doing some vector work, and I thought, if I do a drawing for a vector piece and I record it, it's going to be a really long video. So I thought, if I do a drawing in Tayasui, a pencil sketch like this, I could then import that into something like Affinity Designer to do a vector drawing over it. So that's what I'm thinking I might use this for. So it has, I know it's a fun sketch. I said at the beginning, it's just something for fun. But I was thinking as I was doing it that I could use this as a starting point for something a bit more detailed and a finished piece. So that's what I'm thinking I'm going to use this for. Anyway, as I say, it's also just a fun sketch to do, not detailed. Lots of scribbly lines and things for shading, but I'm going to add some colour to it as well. But it's just a good way of keeping your eye in. I'm looking at the photo and the sketch right now, and I can see lots of things that aren't quite right with it. I'm looking at the grid at the front. The perspective of that's a little bit wrong, and one or two other things just not quite right. I haven't got the space below the front of the tractor, and the gap between the bottom part of the engine and the front wheel isn't quite right. So there are things that aren't sort of exactly right, but I think I'm happy with it as a representation. I think it works okay. Once I did the tractor, I thought, come on, let's get a little bit of the background and let's put it in context. I don't think any of these petrol pumps worked at this place. It was all for show, really. It was a really nice place, but I thought I would put them in the drawing. I thought it would make an interesting backdrop for this tractor. I didn't just want it to be a drawing of a tractor. I wanted it to be like in a sort of a working location, as it were. I'm not happy from the point of view that I've got the wheel, the front wheel, hanging off the bottom of the paper or canvas. So I'm going to resolve that in a minute or two. Just sketching in the buildings. This took me a little bit to work out, just to get it exactly right. I had to adjust the I don't know, the exhaust pipes, I guess, of the tractor, and then I lose a bucket that's disappeared now. I forgot to put that back in, but I eventually get there. And I'm just filling the paper, and I don't like to fill a sheet with a drawing, so unlike a real drawing, I can resize it, and that's how I got over the issue with the front wheel dropping off the bottom of the page, because I didn't really want that. I wanted it to sit in the middle of the page, really, and have a little bit of white space around it, and that seemed to me to be a good way to do it. I love Tayasui that I can just sort of use the eraser I can be drawing away and then erase areas really easy. It's really cool. I don't have to do a lot of cutting and pasting. I think I only did one crop where I moved one of the petrol tanks, and that was about it. So the drawing is pretty much finished, but I do want to get some colour in it. So I'm just going to use watercolour, and I put the layer below the colour layer below the pencil work, because in this case I want the pencil, it is a sketch, I want the pencil to sit on the top. If it was a watercolour painting, I would keep the pencil layer below the watercolour, because it would be the important thing would be the watercolour, but with this is a sketch, so the important thing is the sketch, so I've kept that on the top. Two subtle differences, really, the way I work between doing a painting and doing a sketch. So you can see I'm getting these sort of grungy colours in, and I've got them on every time I add a new colour or a darker bit. I create a new layer and I'll overpaint it and cut it away with the eraser to give a nice sharp edge. I find that to be by far the best way of getting a realistic watercolour effect. So the watercolour, as well as adding sort of local colour, also I can use it to sculpt out the shapes a bit and give them a little bit of form. And you'll see that starting to appear now as I put darker washes over the wheels. There you go. So it's just giving a little bit of form to that shape. One of the things I do find with Tayasui is when you put a wash on, if you change to another brush or select the eraser, sometimes it darkens up the whole thing, or the whole of that layer, and you can't get it back to. You think you get this nice, you've got it perfect, and then like that, all of a sudden it went really dark, and the only way I could get it back was to change the opacity of that layer. That seems to me to be a little bit of a bug in Tayasui. That's the only real criticism I've got of the app, really, but it is an issue. So you can see I'm using a darker wash now to put shadows in and give a little bit of form to this tractor, using the eraser to lift a few colours out. I'm sort of flashing through the layers there because I wanted to find one layer where I could particularly erase something, and I couldn't find what layer it was on. So I'm getting pretty close to the finish. I'm just adding a few little bits more of colour just into that sort of fence of that garage place. A bit more colour on the wall. A bit of a shadow under the tractor just to sort of tie that to the ground. A bit more shadow under the bottom of the engine there. Just to add that final shape. And there we go. That is my pencil sketch and colour wash of a tractor. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, a big thumbs up as always is much appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing, because I've got lots of videos like this and I would love to be sharing them with you. So hopefully I'll see you all in the next one. Bye.